Hey everyone, and welcome back. So we're going to be talking about portfolios. Now, we have a lot of different images here that we've been working on with our final compositions. And when we get to a part in our project where we are really happy with, the final results, even though projects are forever changing, I mean, we always iterate on them. There will be a point where, we kind of take our foot off the gas pedal and we're ready to just kind of display our work and just talk about it a bit with the community, get some feedback. And also it's great to use it as a means to find a new job and impress potential employers. So what I've done here is I've taken a bunch of different screens, as you can see, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to export all of these to my desktop. So I'm just going to select them all and I'm going to go down here. And so right now they're all set within a frame size as the iPhone X. And I'm happy with that for now. And I'm just going to click export. And over here, you can export them to whatever type of file type that you like. I typically just use PNG. There's JPEG, there's SVG if you're using vectors and stuff like that, and PDFs. So, I mean, there's different options here, but I've always feel like the PNG is probably the best option. You can export with the contents only. If you have a transparent background, you can kind of remove that background as well. In this case, we're going to actually keep the fill in the background of these frames, and we're going to show that in the export. So I'm going to export these 6 layers, and they're going to go straight to my desktop over here. So let's just save that. Okay, so now that we have those images there, what we want to do is we want to display them in some sort of way. Now, let's create a new page, and we'll just call this page portfolio pieces. And what we can do here is we can do Shift Command K, and that is going to bring up our image placement kind of dialog box over here. And we are going to drop those images into this file. So they're all placed. So here we go. Now they're actual just PNGs. So we are just going to place these nicely together. And then, there we go. Okay, so now that we have all these images that we want to work with nicely placed together, what we're going to do is we are going to bring up the iPhone mockups. So you can find these types of mockups anywhere. So I have a couple different variations here, and these will be available to you as well. So I have an isometric view if you kind of like that look. If you just want that view of a realistic iPhone X, you can get that with this. Same thing with these views. These are just kind of colorized a bit. So this is kind of a grayish purple. We have a yellow border. So if you see, I'm just going to take this off. We have a yellow border. So it can go with the type of content that you're working with. So what I'm going to do actually is I like this yellow a lot. I'm actually going to take this whole frame and I'm going to just copy it into our portfolio pieces section. So over here, I have my portfolio pieces section and I'm really happy with that. So you can see this is where the screen is. So we can just call this onboarding. So we'll place the onboarding image in this one. So we have the onboarding frame over here. And what I like about this is we're going to kind of just create a really nice composition that's going to show off just our general design here. So I'm just going to copy that option and drag and a Command C that, and then go into this iPhone. And I'm going to try and find where I can place this so it actually displays really nicely within the screen. So it's probably within content here. And there you go. So I've placed it in here. You can kind of remove that screen, that placeholder. And there you go. You kind of have this perfectly placed image inside of this iPhone. And there's so many different ways you can do this. If I wanted to, so now that I have this iPhone, let's just place it nicely. So now it's just displaying this one image. So if we wanted to kind of show multiple images, we can do side by side if we want. If we want to show a flow, the entire onboarding flow, we can do that. We can also show kind of a little bit of a stylized rendition of our images. If we want to just kind of make it a little bit more dynamic, something like that if we want to show like different variations. Now, this is purely speaking from like, I would say from a dribble perspective, if you just want to take a quick snapshot of your work and then like post it there, this is like an awesome way to do it. And look at that. It took us like 5 seconds to like just put together a quick composition. Even if I wanted to change the background color, I can do that. If I wanted to add like a little bit more depth to that background color, I can do that just by kind of adding a little bit a darker color on the outside. So we can kind of just like make this a little bit of a gradient. So, I mean, there's different ways you can do this. And there you go. Like we already have like a dribble shot ready to go. It just took us like 5 seconds, really high quality and very interesting to look at. Now, from a perspective of like showing off different types of pieces of your work for like your portfolio website and stuff like that, you can still do something like this. But I would argue that, you know, if you wanted to show off certain interactions, like that's the place to do it. You could also like just really scale things up a bit more. So if you really want to showcase like how this interaction worked, like you would really zoom into like how this slider would be featured. So definitely think about that when you're exporting your content for like your portfolio, whether that be like on something like Dribble or Behance or something like portfolio website. Just be very mindful that you want to showcase not just like, oh, look how pretty this looks, but I want to showcase different interactions. I want to showcase how a slider like our carousel like this would work, or what happens when I click on the different navigation pieces. Or just like a general flow, like what happens when I go ahead and I click a search? Like what does that look like? So keep that in mind when you're exporting like different types of designs for the sake of your portfolio, because this will really help you just kind of show off your work much more easier. And there's so many different resources out there, just like this, and this. So let's take this, for example. We'll bring that in really quickly. And let's see what that looks like. Ooh, I just copied the screen, so let's do that again. There it is. We'll do iPhone X minimal, and we're gonna bring that into our portfolio. And for this one, we'll take this. So I'm gonna copy that and go to my screen. And it should work. So what you can do is there's a plugin that can turn your screenshot over here like into an isometric view. So like that. So this is just a 45-degree angle. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to flip it. So make sure that fits. And there you go. So with the use of like a plugin, you can really help make your designs look a little bit more dynamic with something like that. What you can also do, you can just copy and paste something like this over and over again. So this is different shadows. So you can copy and paste this. If you want to group it, you can group it and make multiple versions of it. You don't need to have a drop shadow on it if you don't want to. Just kind of have it floating there, but you can show like your entire application in just like one shot of all the different screens. So that's how I would approach building out your portfolio images. Use real devices. Sometimes you don't need to, like if it's a web-based product, you could just kind of show just the screenshot of the entire screen, but show off your beautiful work. And it's really easy to do so. Just search even on Google for mockups for iPhones or Google Pixels or whatever type of device that you're using, even web browsers. And there's so many Figma options out there. So all of these will be available to you, and go out there and start exporting the designs that you created to show off.